Welcome back to Minecraft. I'm Dave. Today we're going to be making the Pittsburgh Steelers logo as pixel art. And as you can see, we have black wool, light gray wool, white wool, blue wool, red wool, and yellow wool. And we have a chicken that's going to help us out. Just kidding. So for the first thing we need to do is go ahead and throw down our center block here. We're going to build 6 blocks to the right and left of this center block. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and mark that center block. Just make sure that we mark it on top. We're going to add 3 light gray wool up on top of it, and that's because we're going to have a border inside the black border of light gray wool. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and go back to the black wool. We're going to do a row of 6 off the right side. Now we're going to go up. We're going to go ahead and do 2 rows of 4. Now we're going to do 3 rows of 3. And now we're going to do 4 rows of 2 blocks. And then we're going to switch to the vertical. Go ahead and build one more, and we're switching to the vertical. Again, we're going to do 3 rows of 3, 2 rows of 4, a row of 6, and then we're to the middle on the side. So we're going to go ahead and do our 13 blocks. So 6, then our 7th, go ahead and mark that on the inside with the light gray wool, and then add another 6 on top. And then we're going to go ahead and repeat this and go ahead and add 6 blocks. Do 4 blocks 2 times. Then we're going to do 3 blocks 3 times. Then we're going to go ahead and do 2 blocks 4 times, plus an extra when we go ahead and switch to our horizontal again. 3 by 3. 2 rows of 4. Row of 6. And then another row of 6 plus 1. Then we'll mark it with the light gray wool so that we know we're at the middle. And we're going to go ahead and speed it up here, and I'm just showing you we're at the middle. We're going to speed it up and do the second half. It's the same thing as the other side, so it shouldn't be very complicated. Just follow the same pattern that we've been using and it should work. And mark that midpoint again. And there we go. So we've met it, and there it is. So that's our black border around the outside. We're going to go ahead and start filling in with light gray wool. So we're going to do our first outside edge here inside the black wool. We're just using light gray wool. We're actually going to do this 3 times. I'm just showing you this first row of light gray wool around the outside. And all I did was I just put gray against black. Anywhere there's black, I put some gray. And then we're going to go ahead and speed up the last 2 rows of gray wool. And after you finish and you have the 3 rows of gray wool, go ahead and add 1 to each corner, basically. Each spot that you see a corner piece, we're going to add 1 extra, and that's so that it overlaps so that we keep a nice circular looking design. You'll see that in the speed up here in a few minutes. So as long as you make it look circular, that's all that matters. If you don't want to do what I did, you don't have to, but this is a good way to make it look circular. This is what I did, and I think it turned out pretty nice. So continuing along here, go ahead and add the rest of this light gray wool here. And coming right along. there. Alright, now here in 2 seconds we're going to go ahead and speed her up to do the last 2 rows of light gray wool. It'll go pretty fast. It's at ×8. The chicken decided to get in the way, so I had to knock him out of the way. Get out of there, chicken. So we're going to go ahead and fill in the bottom here. Now we're going to speed it up. Again, we're just putting the gray on the gray. Just filling it in here. This is the second time around. And then you'll see me start the 3rd set of light gray wool. Here we go. Nothing very complicated here. This is just the border of the outside of this particular logo. Okay, so there we go. I'm going to go ahead and add a block on each corner piece just to make it look more circular. That's the only reason I did this. And there you have it. So we're going to go ahead and back away here a little bit and take a peek at it and see what we think. It's looking pretty good. It's got a pretty nice looking circle there. So we're going to go ahead and get started with putting together the inside. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and try to line up everything and make sure everything's centered. So I start out with just 1 white block. Here in a bit I'm going to switch that and do 2 white blocks. I'm going to go ahead and do my blue up to the middle of this particular circle, but I'm actually going to have to draw a line horizontally across just to make sure that I don't go too high with the blue. So that's what I'm going to do over here. I have to measure it out with a few blocks just because I filled in with the gray wool, so I just had to make sure that I was at the right spot. So that's all I'm doing there. So there we go. There's our 7th block from the bottom. We're going to go ahead and build a line across horizontally here so that we know where our midpoint is inside the center of this circle. That's the only reason we're doing this, so we don't build too much blue wool. Now this takes a little bit to lay this out, but trust me, you're going to want to do this just to make sure that you're doing everything exactly the way that it needs to be. And as you can see, we can't control weather on the console edition, so it started raining. Kind of a pain in the butt. I hate it when it rains in the game, but whatever. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up here with the blue. We're going to go ahead and build it up to the middle. Now we're going to go ahead and switch out here in a second. I just kind of wanted to take a look at it and back up and take a look. Okay, we're going to go ahead and switch to the yellow. And we're going to build up from the center. And there we go. Make sure we throw in a white block there, a white piece of wool. We're going to back up a little bit, take a look at this again. Alright, it's looking pretty good. So we're going to go ahead and throw in our red wool next. So here we go. As you can see, I decided I wanted to throw a double spacer here just to make it look right. So we're going to go ahead and put the red wool in. Here's where I decided to throw a 2-block spacer on the outside. So we go 2 blocks of white wool, then we switch to our colored wool. And there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and do that and adjust it with the blue as well as the yellow. And then we've got a nice framework for our little crosses that are inside this logo. So each one of these is 27 blocks, so that's going to be important. So now the next thing that we have to do here is I have to measure down to the center of each of these so we can put in the cross pieces. So measuring down 13 blocks, and on the 14th I'm going to add the cross piece. So there we go, just marking it right there. I'm going to speed it up for the next 2 just because you don't really need to watch it. It's the same thing, 13 blocks and then put in the cross piece, and that's it. So there we go, slow it back down, as you can see. Now we're going to go ahead and add 13 blocks, including the one that we added for the cross piece. So once we get to 13, That's perfect. And you're going to do this both on top and on bottom and right and left for the blue and yellow. So you just want to make sure that each one of these from the center is 13. So as you can see, we've got some nice little crosses there now. So now what we're going to do is actually fill them in. So 3 blocks is what you're going to leave in a single block pattern. And you're going to build up, and you're going to do this on each arm. So you're going to leave 3 blocks of single block. We're going to do that the whole way around. And that's because we want these things to have kind of a circular cutout look to them on these crosses. It turns out real nice if you follow this pattern. So now for the next layer, we're going to also count up 3 blocks. And we're going to go ahead and add from here. So there we go. We have 3 blocks. Then we start our next row. We do this the whole way around again for each arm of the cross. Alright, and now we're going to make sure that we leave 2 blocks on each arm. And you're just going to fill it in. So now, as you can see, it just is a nice kind of staggered single block look. So you have 2 blocks and then it's 1, 1, 1. Follow this pattern and it will turn out perfect. Now I'm going to speed it up for the next 2 crosses just because they're built the exact same way. It should be pretty easy to follow this. It shouldn't be real difficult, I don't think. If you have any problems, just let me know in the comments and I'll try to help you out. So there we go. There's the red. Now we're working on the blue. Filling it out. And as soon as we get done filling in these crosses, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and fill in the white. Filling in this white area. This is very tedious. It's the most tedious part of this particular logo, but you know, you have to do it. Obviously on ×8 it looks really fast. It actually doesn't go this quick though. This build took me about an hour to do, so it's not terrible. You can do it pretty quick. So you might be able to do it quicker than I, because I was building it from scratch just off the top of my head pretty much after looking at the logo. So with a tutorial you can probably build it a little bit quicker. So we're going to go and fill it in, and we're actually going to leave a little gap here on this left hand side in the middle. The reason we're going to leave that gap is because we actually have to spell out Steelers with the black wool, because that's the way it looks in the logo. As you can see, I knocked out that cross beam just because I don't need it there, because I actually need that space to fill in the word Steelers within this logo. So the gap that we're going to end up leaving at the end goes the whole way from left to right, from the outside edge of the light gray wool all the way to the middle, and it's 6 blocks high. You're actually going to knock it a little bit higher in certain spots. Actually, I think it's more than 6. I think it might be 7 actually. Okay, so there we go. We have this. So now, as you can see, it's a nice little gap. So now what we're going to do is we're going to build the letter by letter. So you're going to do 3, you're going to build 2 up, you're going to go across, you're going to build another 2 up, and then you're going to finish it off. That's the S. Pretty simple. It's just 3 by 3 by 3 by 3. We're going to go ahead and fill it in with white. We're going to build up here on top, and then we're going to put a white wool spacer. Next thing we're going to do is an R. This is a very simple R. We're going to go ahead and build it up to the top of the S, but we're only going to do 2 thick. Part of the reason I did it 2 thick is that I didn't have enough space to make it any thicker than that. If you wanted, you'd have to build a little bit bigger circle to give the R a little bit more of a decorative look. So now for the E, we're going to build 3 back. I accidentally built all the way to the top. I forgot that I had an extra gap there, so as you can see, it's a little bit too high. I see that here in a second. I'm like, oh, I need to adjust that. So I need to knock out that top piece, go ahead and put it in there, and there we go, and fill it in. So that's what the E looks like. It's very simple E, nothing too crazy about it. So we're gonna go ahead and knock one more extra block out here for the L, so it ends up going 2 blocks above every other letter. We're gonna build another couple E's here, so 3, build up 4, build across 2, build down 2, and fill in the middle, and then add your white wool. Go ahead and build all the way up, fill it in, put in the spacer, and then repeat it. And there we go. Alright, now for the T, we're going to do a little tail on it, so we're going to put down 2 blocks on the bottom. We're going to build the T all the way to the top, so it's 1 block higher than all the other letters except the L. And then we're going to go ahead and fill in our gap here, add our little spacer, fill in the rest of the holes that we have here with white wool. And then we're going to build the large S. So the large S, you can make it look better than this, but again, you need more space in this circle. So to make the large S, we're actually just going to have a 2 block gap at the bottom, so that way the S looks different than the small s. We're going to go ahead and fill this in now. And there we go. A nice looking logo. I'm going to back up here, give you a nice little view of it here. There it is. It turned out really well. I'm pretty pleased with this logo. I hope that you guys enjoy it. I hope you build it. If you have any future builds that you want to see, please let me know in the comments. I'll gladly try to build it. As always, it's been a pleasure. Remember to like and subscribe, and as always, take care.